Hi, it's Maria from Still Dreaming Homestead. I have an exciting announcement. I am going to start a new channel. It will be going up tomorrow. It's called Maria Tells a Story. And that's where I'm going to be telling stories for children and for the young at heart. So I hope that you will subscribe to that new channel. I'll be leaving a link to it. If not today, tomorrow, please check my channel. So for tonight, though, I'm going to tell the story about stone soup. You ever heard of stone soup? A hungry traveler had been roaming the countryside and hadn't had a good meal in days. Off in the distance, the traveler spotted a village. I'm bound to find someone there who will share a meal with me, the traveler said to himself. As the traveler rushed to the village, he tripped over a stone in the road. The stone was not like any the traveler had seen before. It was perfectly smooth and oval in shape. That's kind of like an egg. The traveler decided to keep it. You never know when a stone like this might come in handy, he said. Then the traveler headed to the lovely village. His stomach grumbled as he walked. Have you ever had your stomach grumble or growl because you were so hungry? One house the traveler came to was very quiet. All the doors and windows were closed and the shades was drawn. That means pulled down. He wondered if there was anyone home. Finally, a maid appeared in the doorway. Can you spare some food? The traveler asked. I'm very hungry. I'm sorry, but I have only a few potatoes, the maid said. Not enough to share or spare. Why don't you try my neighbor next door? I already have, said the traveler, but he was very grumpy and just slammed the door. It looks like finding some food in this village will be more difficult than I thought. Still, the hungry traveler refused to give up. The traveler went everywhere in the village, but no one had enough food to share or to spare. One house had only cabbage, the next only carrots. The third had only a little salt and pepper. Since there was no food to be found, the hungry traveler decided to leave. As he rested under a tree, the traveler looked back at the quiet little town. It's a shame, he thought. Such a nice village and such a beautiful day, but nobody is outdoor talking or playing. Then the traveler reached into his bag and took out the stone he had found earlier that day. The hungry traveler was admiring the stone, and then he had a brilliant idea. That means a really, really good one. The traveler ran back to the village and shouted, "Come out of your houses, everybody! I have a magic stone that will give us enough food and to spare." One by one, the curious villagers peeked out of their doors and windows. The grumpy villager, who slammed the door on the traveler earlier, looked out his window and shouted, "What's all this racket about? Come help me make a pot of delicious stone soup," the traveler said. The maid stepped out of her house as two children ran up to the traveler. "Is that your stomach I hear growling?" one child asked. "Yes, I am very hungry," said the child. "Does anybody have a kettle?" the traveler asked. "I've got one," said the big grumpy villager, "but I don't think it will do any good." Most of the villagers were excited, but some were doubtful. Do you really believe he can make soup from a stone? Asked one young lady. I guess we'll soon find out, said another. The grumpy villager brought out a large kettle and placed it on a pile of sticks for the fire. Are you sure your magic stones will make enough soup to spare and share? He asked. Yes, said the traveler. There will be plenty. The traveler placed the stone in the kettle of water and began to stir. Then he tasted the soup. Not bad, he said, but it could use a little salt and pepper. I've got some, said one of the young ladies, and she went home to get it. Perhaps the soup would taste even better if I shared my potatoes, said the maid. Yes, that's a great idea, said the traveler. The young lady returned and sprinkled her salt and pepper into the kettle. Then the maid dropped in her potatoes. The traveler stirred and tasted the stone soup a second time. The villagers watched with great anticipation. That means they were wondering what was going to happen next. It is very good, but it would taste even better with some carrots and cabbage, said the traveler. Then a young boy ran home to get some carrots, and a girl ran home to get cabbage. By now, everyone was having so much fun that they forgot how hungry they were. Even the big grumpy villager was no longer grumpy. Let's make this meal a party, he shouted. The girl returned with the cabbage, and the boy soon followed with carrots. Just think, a huge kettle of soup made from a magic stone, said the little boy. I can't wait to try it. Would you like to try stone soup? Finally, the traveler announced the stone soup was ready. He filled the bowls, and the villagers began to eat. Afterwards, there was plenty left over. There's enough to share and spare, said the young lady. The villagers were so happy after dinner that they didn't want the evening to end. They started playing music and dancing. The village was alive with chatter and laughter. I didn't know you could play the banjo, said the maid. I didn't know you could play the washboard. There was a lot we didn't know until the traveler came along, replied the maid. You can make music with almost anything. The next morning, the traveler said goodbye to his new friends. It was time for him to leave. I want you to have this, he said, as he gave the smooth stone to the villagers. Now you'll always be able to make soup together, and you'll never grow hungry or grumpy again. Can you see? There's a little picture. It's giving them his stone. The villagers hugged the traveler and told him to visit their town again someday. As the traveler headed out of the village, he stumbled over another stone in the road. He picked it up and admired its dark, jagged edges. You never know when a stone like this might come in handy. He placed it in his bag. Wow, that was a great story. I like stories where people work together, because we can do a lot of things if we're working together. So, It's Maria from Still Dreaming Homestead. But tomorrow, my story will be on Maria Tells a Story. So I hope you like this. I hope you subscribe to my new channel. You can always look back on this one and see if there's anything you'd like to see. Like I did a video today because my dogs got sprayed by a skunk. You might like to see that one. Well, I love you, I really do. And I want you to always remember the most important thing is God loves you. He always will. All right. Good night. God bless you.